used to think my hair just wasn't cooperating as I got older. Turns out I was the one sabotaging it, one haircut at a time. If you're over 60 and feel like your hair has a mind of its own lately, stick with me, because the cut you're asking for at the salon might be exactly what's aging your whole face. Today I'm breaking down 3 haircuts that genuinely take years off a mature face, and 3 that, I'm sorry to say, are quietly adding them. I've seen the same 3 safe cuts show up on woman after woman, thinking they're playing it safe, when they're actually doing the opposite. And I'll show you exactly what to ask for instead. I spend my time researching the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50, so you get real answers, not guesswork. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, do that now. I cover this every single week. The blunt bob that's cutting years onto your face. Here's something almost nobody tells you. A perfectly blunt, one-length bob is one of the harshest cuts you can put on a face past 60. It photographs beautifully on a 25-year-old with tight, elastic skin. On a face that's softened at the jawline, that same hard, straight line does something cruel. It draws a flat horizontal edge right where your jaw has started to relax. And the eye reads the contrast instantly. If you're nodding right now because you've got exactly this cut, you're not alone, and it's not your fault. Stylists hand out the blunt bob constantly, because it looks sharp in the mirror under salon lighting. Nobody mentions what it does the second you're home. Makeup off, natural light hitting your face from the side. The fix is a soft, long layered bob, and the word doing all the work there is layered. You want face-framing layers that start around the cheekbone and get progressively longer, so the ends taper instead of stopping in one hard line. Ask your stylist specifically for internal layers with a slight forward taper at the jaw. That exact phrase matters, because a generic, add some layers, request often just means shorter layers on top with the same blunt perimeter underneath, which doesn't fix the actual problem. What this does structurally is break up that horizontal line into several soft diagonal ones. Diagonal lines lift. Horizontal lines drop. That's not opinion, that's just how the eye tracks a face. And it's the entire reason this one adjustment reads as younger without changing your color, your length, or anything else about you. Here's the part that actually matters, the snapback moment. Women tell me constantly that after this one change, people stop commenting on their hair and start commenting on their face. You look so rested. Did you do something different? Because for the first time, the haircut isn't competing with your bone structure, it's working with it. That's the real tell that a cut is right for you. It stops being the first thing people notice, and starts making everything else about you look better instead. There's a second layer to this, literally. Once you've got the internal layering right, ask about a slightly longer piece right at the front, framing the eyes. This is the single most flattering adjustment for anyone whose under-eye area has softened even slightly, because it draws attention up and out toward the eyes instead of down toward the jaw and neck. It costs you nothing extra at the salon, and most stylists will do it automatically once you've specified the layering. But ask for it by name so it doesn't get skipped. So to be precise about the swap, before a rigid one-length bob ending in a hard horizontal line at the jaw. After, that same length with soft internal layers, a tapered edge, and a slightly longer face framing piece at the front. Same haircut length, completely different effect on your face. Now the blunt bob isn't even the cut I hear about most often in the comments. There's one specific length that comes up over and over. And it might be the one sitting in your own bathroom mirror right now. The cut I'm talking about is the tight, short pixie cropped close all over. Not the soft, longer pixie, the very short, very uniform version. It's marketed as easy and low maintenance, and stylists love recommending it because it's fast. But cropped uniformly short, with no length variation anywhere, it does something specific to a mature face. It exposes the entire jawline and neck with nothing to soften the transition. Right at the two areas that tend to show the most visible change over time. The fix isn't to abandon short hair. Plenty of women over 60 look incredible short. The fix is texture. Ask for a textured pixie with longer, disconnected pieces through the crown and a soft, blended nape. That specific combination gives you movement at the top, which draws the eye upward, while the blended nape, rather than a hard clipper line, keeps the back of the neck looking soft instead of stark. The difference this makes is almost immediate. Texture and varied length catch light differently across the head, which creates the appearance of volume and dimension. Two things that naturally decrease with hair's texture changes over time. A uniform crop can't do that. There's nothing for the light to catch onto except one flat surface. Before, a tight, uniformly short crop with a hard line at the nape. After, a textured pixie with longer pieces through the crown and a soft, blended nape line. Small words, completely different feeling in the mirror. Coming up next, there's a color and cut combination that I think does more damage than either mistake we just covered. And it's one almost every woman over 60 has been told is the safe classic choice. The safe color and cut combo that's adding years. Let's talk about the one nobody wants to hear about, because it's the cut so many women specifically ask for by name, thinking it's the fail-safe choice. A short, all-over uniform gray with zero dimension, cut into rounded, curled under layers that sit close to the head. It's the classic older woman haircut. And if you've ever felt like this style makes you look older than you actually feel, you're not imagining it. The problem isn't the gray. Gray hair, worn well, is genuinely striking. The problem is flatness. One solid tone with rounded layers that curl inward toward the face creates a soft, shrunken silhouette. It reads as smaller, denser, and older than a face with more shape and dimension would. The fix is two things working together, and both matter. First, dimension. Ask your colorist for soft, low-contrast highlights woven through the gray, not painted on top of it. That phrasing matters because a lot of colorists here, highlights on gray, and give you chunky, high-contrast pieces that look artificial. What you want is subtle variation in tone that mimics how gray hair actually grows in naturally, with lighter and slightly deeper strands mixed together. Second, the cut itself needs to move away from rounded, inward curling layers and towards something with more vertical movement. Layers that lift slightly at the crown and fall outward rather than curling under. This single change opens up the whole shape of the haircut instead of compressing it. Here's the snapback result, and it's the one I hear most often from women who make this switch. They stop being asked, "Have you lost weight?" in that slightly backhanded way, and start getting, "You look so healthy," instead, because the real shift isn't about weight at all. It's that dimension and lift in the hair make the whole face read as more awake, more present, less flattened. I want to be specific about something here, because vague color advice is useless to you. If your gray is mostly silver-white, ask for highlights just 1 to 2 shades lighter woven in fine, narrow sections. Anything chunkier looks stripy rather than natural. If your gray is more salt and pepper with darker pieces still coming through, ask for the highlights concentrated around the face specifically, since that's the area that gets the most light and benefits the most from dimension. Your colorist should be able to have this conversation with you in under 2 minutes. If they can't articulate a plan when you ask, that's worth noticing. The cut adjustment is just as specific. You're not going for length. You can keep the exact same short length you have now. You're asking for the layers to be cut with the ends pointing slightly outward and up at the crown rather than being rounded under with a curling iron or diffuser to sit close to the head. Some stylists will try to talk you out of this because rounded layers are genuinely easier to style day to day. It's a fair trade-off to know about. A few extra minutes of styling for a shape that reads years younger is one plenty of women decide is worth it. So here's the swap, named exactly. Before, flat uniform gray and rounded, inward curling layers sitting close to the head. After, gray with soft woven highlights and layers that lift at the crown and fall outward. The length hasn't changed at all, only the dimension and the direction the hair moves. I'll admit something here. I had this exact cut for almost 2 years before a colorist finally said something. She didn't lecture me, she just said, "Can I show you what happens if we open this up a little?" And that one sentence changed how I've worn my hair ever since. Next, there's a length so many women over 60 are told to avoid entirely. And I think that advice is actually backwards, once you know the one adjustment that makes it work. The long hair myth, and the one adjustment that fixes it. You've probably heard it 100 times. Cut it short once you hit 60. I'm going to disagree with that, but with a very specific condition attached, because the actual culprit isn't long hair at all. It's long hair with zero shape, worn the exact same way it was worn 30 years ago, straight and heavy with no layering anywhere near the face. That specific combination, length past the shoulders, completely one length, no face framing, is what reads as aging, not the length itself. The weight of straight, unshaped long hair pulls the whole face downward visually, and because there's no shorter layer near the cheekbones or jaw to interrupt that pull, the eye follows the hair straight down and takes the face with it. Here's the recognition moment, and I think a lot of you will feel this one specifically. It's not that you look bad with long hair, it's that you look tired with long hair. And those read as the same thing at a glance, but they're not. Tired is fixable in about 20 minutes at the salon chair. That distinction matters, because so many women jump straight to, I need to chop it all off, when the actual fix is much smaller than that. The fix is long layers concentrated specifically around the face, starting at the cheekbone and cascading down, combined with movement added through the mid-lengths, either soft waves or a loose layered texture, not necessarily a perm, just enough shape that the hair isn't falling in one flat sheet. Ask for long face-framing layers starting at the cheekbone, with graduated layers through the length for movement. That's the exact request. Length stays the same, but weight gets removed strategically from around the face and through the body of the hair. The snapback result here is genuinely one of my favorites to hear about because it surprises people every time. Layered, textured long hair on a mature face reads as more youthful than a lot of short haircuts do. Not despite the length, but partly because of it. Long, healthy-looking hair has always carried a subconscious association with vitality, and layering simply lets that length actually move and catch light instead of hanging static. Women tell me they get asked what products they use, when really, it was never about products. It was the layering doing the work the whole time. There's a maintenance piece worth being honest about too. Long layered hair needs a trim roughly every 10 to 12 weeks to keep the face framing pieces at the right length. Let it go much longer than that, and the layers grow out and lose their shape, and you're back to the heavy, one-length problem you started with. It's a small trade-off for the payoff, but it's worth knowing going in rather than being surprised by it later. So named precisely, before long, straight, one-length hair with no layering near the face, worn the same way for years. After, the same length with long face-framing layers from the cheekbone down, and added movement through the mid-lengths. You keep the length you love. You just stop wearing it flat. I'll be honest, this is the one I get the most disbelieving comments about. Women who assumed long hair was simply off the table after 60, and then message me photos once they've made this one change. It's consistently the biggest, "Why did nobody tell me this sooner?" reaction I get. There's one more cut left, and it might be the most common one of all. Worn by more women over 60 than any style on this list, and quietly working against every one of you who has it. The shag nobody's cutting right. Here's the cut I promised, and it's not obscure at all. It's the shag. Specifically, a shag with heavy, choppy layers cut too short through the crown, leaving thin, wispy pieces sitting flat against the scalp on top while the bottom stays bulky and shapeless. It's everywhere right now, all over salon inspiration boards, and it is being cut wrong on an enormous number of women over 60. The issue is proportion. Those short, choppy layers on top are meant to create texture and lift, but when they're cut too thin and too short, they lie flat instead of standing up, which means you get thinning-looking hair at the crown. The one area most women are already sensitive about, paired with heavier, undefined bulk everywhere else. It's the opposite of balanced. If you've got this cut and have been wondering why it never quite looks like the photo you brought in, this is almost certainly why, and it's a cutting technique issue, not a your hair isn't cooperating issue, which is worth hearing plainly. The fix is what stylists call point cutting instead of blunt cutting the layers, combined with keeping slightly more length and thickness at the very top of the crown rather than cutting it short and thin. Ask specifically for a shag with point cut layers, more density retained at the crown, and graduated shorter layers starting below the crown rather than at it. That's a mouthful, but it's the exact phrasing that separates a shag that lifts and moves from one that lies flat and looks thin. Point cutting, if you haven't heard the term, means the stylist cuts into the ends at an angle rather than straight across, which creates soft, textured tips instead of blunt ones. That texture is what actually creates the appearance of volume, because the light catches each irregular edge differently instead of one flat surface. It's a small technical difference in the chair, but it's the entire reason one shag looks full and another looks thin. The result, once this is corrected, tends to be the most dramatic of anything on this list, because you're not changing length or color at all, purely technique. Women who get this recut, rather than starting over completely, describe it as their hair finally doing what it's supposed to do. The crown holds shape through the day instead of falling flat by noon. And the ends have enough texture to move instead of sitting like a solid mass. One thing worth saying honestly, not every stylist point cuts as a default technique, so this is a case where naming it specifically at your appointment genuinely changes the outcome. It's a completely reasonable thing to ask, and any stylist confident in their craft will know immediately what you mean, and likely already agree with the assessment once they see the proportion issue themselves. Named precisely, before a shag with thin, flat, blunt cut layers at the crown and undefined bulk below. After, the same shag with point cut, textured layers and retained density at the crown, graduated shorter layers starting just below it. Nothing about the length changes. The technique does. Of everything in this video, this is the swap I think matters most, because it's the one so many women are already close to. They just needed the one correction nobody explained to them at the chair. So here's what you actually walked away with today. It was never about chopping everything off or starting from scratch. Every single fix in this video was a small, specific adjustment. A taper here, woven dimension there, point cutting instead of blunt cutting. That's the whole secret, and now you know it too. Out of the 3 fixes we covered, which one are you trying at your next appointment? The layered bob, the woven gray, the face-framing long layers, or the point cut shag? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Next week I'm covering the skincare mistakes that pair with these same haircuts and quietly age the whole face even more. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.